Welcome to Lemoore City Council Chambers located at 429 C Street. This is the October 1st meeting. Please silence all electronic devices as a courtesy to those in attendance. Thank you. If you could please stand for the invocation given by Mr. Kootenai from Lifeway Church and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Living God, we thank you. We thank you for the opportunities you give us, Lord, to come together. At this time, we ask that you would watch over our leadership here of our city. Watch over all those that make these decisions for the future, Father. And we thank you for the discernment and the wisdom you give them, Father, for you're a living God and a loving God. Let there be no doubt. And we thank you in your Son's holy name. Amen. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir.
Councilmember Garza. Councilmember Lyons.
Present.
Councilmember Orth.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Gornick.
Here.
And Mayor Matthews.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda approval additions and or deletions. There are none, so we'll go ahead and move on to study session. Item 1-1, California Values Act, SB 53. Chief Kendall.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. At the last council meeting, Dr. Gornick asked for a brief on, I guess, just this topic. So I got a very short PowerPoint, and I'll kind of break down on what SB 54 is and how it affects us in law enforcement and the steps that we use to navigate it. So for those of you that don't know SB 54, it's also known as the California Values Act. It states, or it is a state law that limits how state and local law enforcement agencies can collaborate with federal immigration agencies. SB 4 mandates that no state and local resources can be used to assist federal immigration entities. Police and sheriff departments are prohibited from asking about immigration status. We cannot effect an arrest for having a deportation order or for most of the immigration violations. We cannot use immigration and customs enforcement or border patrol agents as agents or interpreters. And then we cannot share personal information like a home address with ICE or border patrol unless it's already publicly available. Government Code Section 7284.6 states that California law enforcement agencies shall not use agency or department monies or personnel to investigate, interrogate, detain, detect, or arrest persons for immigration enforcement purposes, including inquiring into an individual's immigration status, detaining an individual on the basis of a request or hold. If a local law enforcement agency or a sheriff's department makes an arrest, they cannot hold that individual in jail for an extra amount of time just for immigration agents to pick up that individual. They cannot let immigration agents interview that subject without written consent. They also have the right to refuse an interview or remain silent, just like any other individual. We can't tell immigration agents when they will be released or transfer them to their custody, but there are a lot of exceptions in there. But it basically any state prison felony convictions, most other felony convictions that have occurred within a 15-year time period, and some very few misdemeanors within a 5-year time period. Local law enforcement can notify immigration agents of their release date if the information is already public. And then if local law enforcement decides to notify or transfer the subject to immigration agents, they must give them advance written notice and a copy of the ICE or Border Patrol's request. And then on top of that, the sheriff's department's required to do a yearly report to the Department of Justice, essentially saying who they released to those federal agencies and the reasoning why. And then just so you know, state officials or prisons cannot let immigration agents conduct an interview without their consent, cannot limit access to rehabilitation and educational programs, cannot consider immigration status when determining a classification. There's a difference between an unlawful presence and somebody who crosses into the United States illegally. An unlawful presence is entering the country on a valid work or travel visa, but failing to exit before that has expired. In those cases, it is a violation of federal immigration law to remain in the country without legal authorization, but this violation is punishable only through civil penalties, and it's not a criminal matter, meaning that the only penalties for an unlawful presence is a deportation or otherwise removal from the country. There's no fines or jail time or anything like that associated.
So in that instance, I believe you're talking about if you can go back to the last, you're talking about the civil penalties for unlawful presence.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not a criminal offense.
It's not a criminal
That
offense.
would be if somebody's DUI or something like that, that wouldn't be this person.
Right, right. That is just talking about those individuals who came over here on a work visa or other type of visa and then failed to leave when it expired.
But on the prior instances, my concern is, one of our jobs, your primary job is public safety.
Correct.
And so I guess my question to you is, and the people that you manage, does this prohibit them from providing the best public safety they can for our citizens?
So go to the next slide. Where's it, please? This is kind of a breakdown of how we do it. First, we have people assigned to the Kings County Major Crimes Task Force. Those are the inner workings where we're working with everybody else from the law enforcement agencies within Kings County and sharing that information amongst ourselves. Because like you said, our primary goal here at the Lemoore Police Department is to protect the rights and property of those in the city of Lemoore. If we were to have a sudden rise of or an influx of individuals coming in and trying to take over a hotel, let's say, right? One, we're small enough to where we immediately notice the rise in calls for service. I don't know if you remember, but during COVID, we saw a rise in calls for service over at the Travel Lodge. And it was like, why? That we went from having 3 or 4 calls a day and now, a year to just multiple over the week, right? We're going to recognize it relatively quick, but we're working in a partnership with all these other community entities to where we know those business owners, and we have those relationships put in place that they're going to call us and say, hey, this is what's going on. How are we going to prevent that? We're very proactive.
But aren't you limited though? Let's say if there's 5 or 6 guys who take over a couple rooms at the hotel. Okay.
Right.
But
But
they're not You know, and they tell you where they're from.
Absolutely, and that holds no standing. They're going, you know, if they're going to commit crimes, we're going to just treat it as we would anything else and aggressively pursue those crimes.
Yes, you can, but in terms of the fact that if they're not citizens. I'm
Yeah.
talking about the ones who aren't citizens.
Sure.
Who are here illegally,
Right,
not the ones that have permits to work or whatever.
right.
We're inhibited by the state law.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You
So,
know,
I mean, you can't keep them.
no, we
Yeah.
can't keep them for you know,
Immigration
the
laws.
immigration laws.
But we can arrest them for breaking the entering and doing that crime. We can't
We just can't partner with those federal.
ICE and all them to get rid of them. That process is done through the court system.
No. So now let's have a discussion about this, because if they're doing something at the hotel that's illegal, forget about whether or not we know whether they're from another country here illegally, okay? You say you can arrest them, and during the process of arresting them and interrogating them, you find out that they're either a gang member or they're from another country and just got in here.
Yeah.
What's your recourse?
They're an MS-13 gang member out of Salvador.
Yeah.
El Salvador. Well, no, we don't. There's no federal recourse. We cannot, it's against the law for us to contact ICE and tell them, hey, this person is here, he's here illegally. We know he's a criminal. We know he's an MS-13 gang member.
Was this law ever challenged? I mean, you know, we have this,
No, it was up, it's actually been expanded upon 3 different times. I think it started in 2014 with a state bill, and it's gotten to this point. This was in, like I said, 2018, this took effect.
yeah, I know it's been expanded, but my
Right.
point is, this has never been a challenge, you know, in terms of the rights of citizens to protect themselves.
I don't know.
Well, they could still charge the individual with the felonies or whatever, breaking into the hotel and all that process. Those MS-13 members in this conversation will still go to state prison for breaking into the hotel.
No, they won't.
Yeah, they will.
They'll say, I'm from a different country and I'm here illegally and you can't do this to me.
No,
They'll still
they're
get prosecuted, and there's quite a few felonies that the sheriff's department, like if they're going to stay in the sheriff's department or if they're going to go to the state level, that they can partner with them. At a local level, we can't, because it's only after a conviction.
Well, that's my point. I
Yeah.
mean, that's where the crime occurs, at the local level.
Sure.
Yeah, but they can still charge them though, and they can still put them in federal and state prison. Every week I have 2 ICE agents show up, every week show up in my prison and pick up 2 to 4 people every week. And they interview, that's the crazy thing is, they interview them. But we're at a state prison, so that may be the difference. They interview them.
Right.
They interview 2 and take 2 every week, twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. This week's it's Monday, Friday, but different story.
Prison too.
A lot of it, I mean, we educate we have the crime-free multi-housing program where, monthly, we're meeting with every single apartment manager, telling them what we're seeing. They're telling us what they're seeing on their end. And they take it upon themselves to police their own apartment complexes. And that program, I mean, is over the years, I mean, since its inception, to see it grow until today, we're just facilitating the meeting at this point. They're policing their own. So, who they rent out to is their business, but we're just not getting the same volume of calls for service that we did 10 years ago, in certain apartment complexes. Once we got them all on board, I mean, so that I can speak to it, she goes to all the meetings. She knows what what these people are doing or what they're talking about. And successful program, with that, any other questions? I did talk to the sheriff. The sheriff wanted to be here. But was out of state.
It just seems like it's very frustrating.
I have to remain bipartisan.
No, you don't.
I appreciate that.
I really like
Yeah.
your guys's proactiveness with the apartment complexes and all the neighborhood watch. That is awesome to hear that. I know Soledad does the neighborhood watch, and she does an excellent job on that and all that, but to hear that they're doing to the apartment complexes, not that they deserve it more than anyone else or less or whatever. Not saying that, I'm just saying that that's awesome. Keep up the good work. That's great to hear that,
No, it's a good
especially
program.
to see if the crime rates.
Well, and
goes down.
you know, the neighborhood watch program. I mean, we
Yeah.
have 90-something neighborhoods, right? 90-something neighborhoods in Lemoore that are, you know, active participants in neighborhood watch.
Marissa, has our League of Cities ever challenged this law?
Not that I'm aware of. The League of Cities tends to support laws similar to that.
Instead of supporting cities. Should be the League of Supporting Laws.
Get
Thank
a
you,
policy
Chief.
committee and you can help change that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Is there any public comment on the chief's presentation? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to item 1-2, discussion on impacts of the sales tax. Ms. Trejo?
Thank you. So I just wanted to have a moment to talk about informational or information on the sales tax measure that's on the ballot in November. So the city does not encourage somebody to vote yes or vote no. As a city, we just provide information. And so there is an informational flyer that will be going out to all the residents that have a utility account within the city. They're scheduled to hit mailboxes around the week of October 8th, which is when the mail-in ballots should be arriving in the mailboxes. And so I just wanted to provide some facts on Measure S and then open it up in case anybody had any questions or council had any questions. And so Measure S is intended to maintain parks and recreation services, maintain Lemoore's police force, and extend street and pothole repairs. If approved, Lemoore sales tax rate with Measure S will be among the lowest in the valley at 8.25%. There's information on the flyer that explains how to vote if you're unaware with how to do so. And there's an explanation that says the city of Lemoore is confronting a major structural deficit within its general fund due to years of increasing costs and new unfunded mandates. The general fund funds public safety, parks, recreation, and other essential city services. Measure S is a 1% transactions and use tax, known as a sales tax, equating to 1 cent for every $1 spent. That, if approved by voters, will provide a local source of funding that the city will be able to use to maintain essential city services such as police, parks, and recreation. In addition, Measure S funds can be used to help the city qualify for state and federal matching funds to pay for street and pothole repairs. If approved by 50% plus 1 of votes cast, Measure S will authorize the collection of the district sales tax on goods and services sold within the city of Lemoore beginning on or around April 1st, 2025, with some exceptions. There's also information on here that states, what if voters do not approve Measure S? If Measure S is not approved, the city of Lemoore is faced with making drastic cuts to city services, included but not limited to the following: a reduction of city staff through layoffs, which includes elimination of several positions within the city, including sworn uniformed police officers, non-sworn employees of the police department, recreation staff, and other essential positions primarily funded through the city's general fund. Closure of the recreation department and elimination of all recreation services, outsourcing of essential services, including refuse division and others, hiring freezes, pay reductions, furloughs, and/or reclassifications of several key positions, and an overall reduction in city services to the community. So that is the informational mailer that will be going out. It will be sent in English and Spanish. And I just wanted to be able to have a conversation if anybody had any questions. It's just information that we can provide. We cannot tell you how you should vote, but if you have questions about the sales tax measure, we can answer those.
Are there any questions from council? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and open up to the public. Are there any public questions or comments?
Mayor and members of the council. I'm Ronnie Wong and I do live in Lemoore. My question would be, has the oversight committee been determined?
As far as if there will be one,
Yes,
there will be one. Yes,
there will be one,
a
but
citizen
the
oversight committee.
individuals on that committee has not been selected.
Not yet, no.
Okay, what, do you have a estimate time of when that might occur?
So generally, it would be once we know whether it
It
passed
passes
or not, then if the certification of the election happens, it would typically be the following city council meeting where we would discuss how they want to recruit for it. And then individuals interested can go through whatever that application process looks like. Then they would typically come to council for appointment.
Okay, thank you.
Are you volunteering?
I'm, I'm interested.
I think that's why he was asking. Any other public questions or comments?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alex Walker. I am just voicing my proud support for Yes on S. I will be voting yes myself because I believe it'll be good for our city. But I did want to ask a question to hear the city's perspective. I know you're not in a position to advocate for it against, and I appreciate your nonpartisan, unbiased information. Short of passing Yes on S, what other measures can the city be taking that can go either in tandem with Yes on S or if the measure were to fail?
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
Okay. So there are steps that the city's already been taking. One is we have an RFP open right now for grant writing services. I think it closes October 17th. Yes. For grant writing services to try to bring in additional funds to the city. We currently don't have a grant writer, and so that would help bring in additional revenue. We're also working on a business license audit to make sure that we are collecting business license taxes on everyone who is operating a business within the city of Lemoore. And we've found ways to decrease some expenses. The city already had cut all major expenses that they could up to this point, but there were some minor things that, we were able to cut $35 here and $13 here, and it wasn't a whole lot. But we have been looking at ways that we can continue to decrease expenses and also increase revenue. And the ultimate goal, at least my personal goal, is to not have to touch people. And if you do, which if it fails, that is a reality, but that's the last option. And so it's really looking at every contract that the city has. Do we need it? Can we terminate the contract? Can we do it cheaper ourselves? Can we outsource it to a different company that's going to charge us less? And so it's really looking at everything. And that process with the contracts will take a while because what I've asked for is like a year's worth of check registers to see where all the money is going, and then to pull the contracts that match that to see what we're paying to make sure that we're getting the best deal that we can on the contracts that we do need to keep.
And continue to try to bring businesses to the city. Any other questions or comments from the public? Are there any online, Marissa?
I would like to speak. Am I there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
This is Connie Willis. I live at 526 East Deodar Lane in Lemoore, California. And now my question was, I typed it. I know that our promoters, I guess I don't know what their titles were, in regards to a Measure S, putting it together, giving us the right words and doing all that, did talk highly about the team that the gentleman just referred to, overseeing committee. And so my only comment is often we find ourselves, and I'll speak for myself, behind the wheel instead of in front of the wheel. And if we as citizens can, without making it look like you all are promoting Measure S, if there's anything we can do to get this committee going, because I don't want to be grasping at straws December, January. Oh crap, we got to have that money and everything by April 1st. Do you all know how sometimes it takes, a lot longer to do something than it should? That's my say on it. Whether I can change it or not, I can.
Thank you.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Was she asking to speed up the application process?
I believe that is her interest. The only problem is that we can't appoint someone to an oversight committee for a tax that we don't have. So we would have to have the certification to show that the oversight is being appointed to oversee this tax. But it won't be a long process. You can have somebody appointed potentially in December or January, but the tax money won't be received, the first payment, until April, or I'm sorry, it starts being collected in April. We won't receive it until June because it's paid in arrears.
Any other questions or comments from council? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and move on to public comment. Public comment will be in accordance with the attached policy. This time is reserved for matters of the members of the audience to address the city council on items of interest that are not on the agenda and are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council. It is recommended that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes each, and it is requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. The council is prohibited by law from taking any action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda. Prior to addressing the council, any handouts for council will be provided to the city clerk for distribution to the council and appropriate staff. The public will have an opportunity to comment on items on the agenda once the item has been called and the mayor opens the item to the public. So we'll go ahead and open public comment. Mr. Alvin, you have something to share?
I get to be first, huh?
Yeah.
This lecture seems familiar and friendly from a long time back. So my comments should be under 3 minutes, yeah. I prepared them in advance, so it would be under 3 minutes. So good evening, City Council members, Mayor Patricia, and City Manager Marissa. My name is Ron Alvin. It's been my honor and privilege to organize the recent joint LFD and City of Lemoore 100-year partnership, opening the milestone and time capsule opening. It's quite an adventure. The historic act of formalizing and establishing a 100-year-old community partnership created our first city hall and fire department building, resulting in 100 years of joint community benefits. Lemoore citizens often express surprise that all volunteer firemen, including the chiefs, are volunteers, unpaid volunteers. To the year to date in their responses to community emergency calls is 1,376 calls. That's a lot of calls for a bunch of volunteers. In addition to those calls, every Tuesday night, they report across the street for training, and that's a huge commitment. The financial benefits of our city from our volunteer firemen over the past 100 years has long been recognized for saving millions of dollars to the city and homeowners insurance. In addition, recognizing the volunteer firemen as serving as the highest calling of all volunteer community service. I coined that because I don't know of any other volunteer service, whether it's a service club or the city council. None of those involve putting your life on the line. That being said, I want to recognize the following people for making our historic celebration very successful. So I can't pronounce his last name. I call him Nye. You probably all know him. What a great guy he is. I mean, he's a graphic artist that cover thing I just sent out to you guys. He did that all. And he coordinated all the city events. He just did a great job. And then Ray Greenlee, I saw it back here somewhere. Yeah. He labored intensely on getting that capsule out of the wall. We were all afraid the wall was going to sag a little bit. Because if you go over there and look now, it's propped up with a couple of sticks. Corbin O'Brien for singing a great national anthem and leading the flag salute. Ron Tooman for chaplain and the invocation. Nathan Longacre for our LFD maintenance person and making things happen. He's one of those guys, you just tell him what to do and he's got it. And Mike Betcher for Sarah Mooney, museum director, for closing comments and opening the sealed capsule contents. And we did find a surprise inside the capsule. It was a report card of Joe Neves. We didn't even know he was that old. And Faith, there are LFD administrative assistant. She made a video of those guys pulling that thing out of the wall. And we had it on a loop in the next room to our celebration. And it was quite a job. How long did it take you, Ray?
3.5 hours.
3.5 hours, 3 guys? Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was mortared in really well. Yeah. And of course, Mayor Patricia Matthews for welcome comments, and City Manager Marissa Trail for historical remarks. And Kevin Norcraft, the interim city manager, when we got all this rolling, when I was handed off this job, first thing I went was to Kevin. And he said, don't worry, we'll get this together. And he did. He did a great job. So those named participants made the event a milestone commemorative event for our own history. We trust you as our community leaders to continue the benefits of enjoying the LFD and the city of Lemoore for the next 100 years. I'll come back and check on you if you don't watch out. Thank you on behalf of the Lemoore Volunteer Fire Department for your celebration assistance and honoring our mutual ancestry. It was a real trip down nostalgic lane. So thank you very much. It was a great event. We had standing room only, and I'm glad it's over. Thank you very much.
Ron, I just a question, you said you're gonna come back to the next one?
Yeah, I'm gonna check in on it. Yeah.
I just want to ask, how was the first one?
Well, you know, I was accused of that because I'm one of the oldest firemen. I put that rumor to rest right off the bat. Thank you
Thank you
again.
very much.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Alex Walker. I wanted to first remark on the time capsule. Although I was a little late to the event because I had to attend work, I was very excited to see the time capsule in person. Just like preserving that history and tradition really reflects the values of Lemoore and something I'm incredibly proud of in our community. I would encourage this council to consider bearing a new time capsule and forming a committee to do so. Really want to shout out the Sarah Mooney Museum for hosting the time capsule items in their museum. Really excited to see those, and encourage everyone in our community to visit the Sarah Mooney Museum, which is open on Sundays. On behalf of the Rotary Club of Lemoore, I would like to invite you to our upcoming crab feed, you and the community, November 2nd. Tickets are $80, and your investment in our crab feed goes back to Lemoore. I myself, when I was in 3rd grade, got a dictionary from the Rotary Club of Lemoore, and this was incredibly important and resonating to me because I struggled with speech impediment, and it was really helpful in my learning and overcoming that. And not only was I personally touched by Rotary, many people in our community have been. Whether you yourself received a dictionary or were part of our programs going to Camp Royale or your children were, the Rotary Club of Lemoore makes a significant difference, from building beds for children sleeping on the floor, from scholarships for high school students wanting to pursue higher education. There is so much that your investment in our crab feed will do for our community. So I want to encourage everyone to buy their crab feed tickets. Seats are limited, so get them in today. You can purchase them for myself or my fellow Rotarians. And if you're interested in joining the Rotary Club of Lemoore and volunteering, making a difference, I know our mayor volunteers time to time building beds with power tools. I encourage you to come to our club. We are Tuesdays at noon. You can visit our website, send us an email message. We'll get you familiar with our organization, but ultimately we're here to serve. We've been serving for over 66 years, and I couldn't be more proud. Thank you for your time and have a great night.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comments? Is there any online? No. We will go ahead and move on to ceremonial presentations. Get myself going here. Item 2-1, Proclamation Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This is the proclamation by the mayor of the city of Lemoore Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Whereas domestic violence impacts countless individuals without regard to age, race, religion, or economic status, as victims suffer at the hands of a spouse or partner, it affects their children, families, and entire communities. And whereas domestic violence is widespread and affects over 2 million men and women in the United States each year, and at its most tragic levels, kills an average of 3 women every day. And whereas over 537 domestic violence cases were made to enforcement agencies in Kings County in 2023, and 131 of those cases were made in Lemoore. And whereas each October, the formal recognition of Domestic Violence Awareness Month allows the community to acknowledge and show their support for survivors and advocate for the end of the cycle of abuse through education. And whereas a partnership of organizations has emerged to directly confront the crisis and are achieving success, law enforcement, healthcare providers, clergy, and concerned citizens are helping in the effort to end domestic violence. We must recognize the compassion and dedication of each of these volunteers and professionals and increase public understanding of this important problem. Now therefore, I, Patricia Matthews, Mayor of the City of Lemoore, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month and urge all citizens of Lemoore to work together to end the cycle of violence in our community. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lemoore to be affixed this first day of October 2024. Bear with me. Item 2-2, Proclamation Down Syndrome Awareness Month. Proclamation by the Mayor of the City of Lemoore Down Syndrome Awareness Month. Whereas Tulare King's Right to Life has tirelessly worked to educate the community on the importance of all lives and to promote the inclusivity, of the citizens with Down syndrome in the community. And whereas the month of October is recognized nationwide as Down Syndrome Awareness Month, a month dedicated to raising awareness, celebrating achievements, and fostering understanding about Down syndrome. And whereas Tulare King's Right to Life has shown unwavering dedication to breaking down barriers and challenging stereotypes, ensuring that every human, regardless of their abilities, is given the chance to shine and reach their fullest potential. And whereas today, with the efforts of Tulare King's Right to Life and the efforts of human and civil rights activists, people with Down syndrome have the right to live at home, attend their local public schools, get appropriate health care, get married, maintain a job, and lead meaningful, integrated lives. And whereas much progress has been made for the people with Down syndrome through the vision and artist work of parents, self-advocates, medical professionals, researchers, educators, and nonprofit organizations such as Tulare King's Right to Life. And now therefore, I, Patricia Matthews, Mayor of the City of Lemoore, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Down Syndrome Awareness Month and urge all citizens of Lemoore to work together and end the cycle of violence in our community. In witness thereof, I have set my hand and have caused the seal of the City of Lemoore to be affixed to this first day of October 2024. Item 2-3, proclamation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Proclamation by the Mayor of the City of Lemoore, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas breast cancer is the most common cancer among women in the United States, and an estimated 310,720 individuals will be diagnosed with breast cancer this year. And whereas early detection and treatment through regular screenings significantly increase survival rates, and continued efforts in education, awareness, and research are essential in the fight against breast cancer. And whereas Breast Cancer Awareness Month, observed every October, provides an opportunity for communities to come together to raise awareness about the importance of prevention, early detection, and support for those affected by breast cancer. And whereas during this month, we recognize the strength and resilience of breast cancer survivors, honor the memory of those who have lost their lives to this disease, and stand in solidarity with individuals currently battling breast cancer. And whereas the City of Lemoore encourages all citizens to take proactive steps to protect their health, such as scheduling regular mammograms, promoting breast health, and supporting local and national breast cancer organizations. And now therefore, I, Patricia Matthews, Mayor of the City of Lemoore, do hereby proclaim the month of October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and encourage all citizens to wear pink, participate in awareness activities, and support individuals and families affected by breast cancer. In witness whereof, I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lemoore to be affixed this first day of October 2024. And now we'll go ahead and move on to department and city manager reports. Who wants to start?
Thank you. I just have one, so I'll start, and then I believe that the chief and Ray have something that they want to say, and Frank does not tonight. So I just wanted to say that I would like to have some public workshops to rewrite the city's mission statement if no one's opposed to that. So if everyone's good with that, I'll start getting some of those scheduled, and that way we can have public input to rewrite the mission statement for the city and maybe get it released like at the beginning of the calendar year for a fresh start.
Sounds good to me.
Chief?
Good evening, again, Mayor and council members. I don't have a lot of new information, just reminders that the homecoming parade is coming up on the 4th. Red Ribbon Week is scheduled for October 28th. And then our National Night Out is scheduled for the 29th at 4 up at Heritage Park. A little bit on the dispatch center. The Comcast will be here on Monday, which is kind of been the holding up point as far as getting our network built out. And so that's moving in the right direction. That's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Greenlee?
Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, excuse me, Madam Mayor and City Council. I just wanted to start off by saying that I too want to talk about the time capsule opening. It was a great event. I want to thank everybody who was there, Ron and Mike, and of course, our city manager and our mayor and all the other people, David, all the people who showed up. It was a great event. It was awesome to see all the stuff that was in there. If you guys want to see what was in the time capsule, it's going to be at the Ceremony Museum. It's going to be on display. And I encourage it because it was pretty awesome to see something 100 years old and it looked like it was brand new. I was really shocked to see that. I wanted to thank several people. I wanted to thank Nick Machado and his maintenance staff for helping us get things set up. I wanted to thank the fire department, their staff for helping us get that thing open. That cornerstone was not an easy task to remove. And the funny part is, I don't know if I think Ron mentioned it. One of the guys from the maintenance department sent me a picture. Said, yeah, we fixed structurally, and they put the block and 2 pieces of wood up there to hold the building up. So I thought it was kind of funny. The rest of it, people who were there, it was a great time. David, your daughter is awesome at singing, that's for sure. I was quite impressed on that. So
Thank you.
And I want to thank Nye for all the hard work he put in And he did design a lot of the stuff. He was behind it. He's always really great to work with. He gets excited about stuff like that. He loves the community. He loves the city of Lemoore. So. Then the other thing I want to mention is we have upcoming is our candy crawl, which will be October 19th, and we're looking for candy. If anybody wants to drop off candy at the rec center over Nye is taking that. So any donations, I'll be coming to the next council meeting the same way, begging for candies and all that good stuff. So it's a great event. We have a lot of going on. I'll give more description in our next council meeting. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Can I add one more thing that I forgot? So we have our first coffee and community event tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. So it'll be held the first Wednesday of each month at 8 a.m. And so tomorrow's will be held at the rec department and everybody's welcome. Coffee is free. We were asked how much it costs to attend. There's no cost to attend and coffee's free. Martha and I will, between the two of us, make it. So can't promise it'll be good, but it'll be free. And so we encourage everybody to attend.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and move on to consent calendar. Items considered routine in nature are placed on the consent calendar. They will be considered and voted upon in one vote as one item unless a council member or member of the public requests individual consideration. Item 4-1, approval minutes, regular meeting, September 17th, 2024. 4-2, approval, denial of claim for Mr. Sinif. Item 4-3, approval budget amendment, Public Facilities Maintenance District, Zone 8. Item 4-4, approval budget amendment, CIP 22006, Site 7 Tank Rebuild Project. 4-5, approval Telstar Instruments Proposal, SCADA Upgrade, CIP 23008. And that is it. Is there anything that council would like to pull from the consent calendar? Seeing none, is there anything that a member of the public would like to pull from the consent calendar? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Lyons.
Second.
I have a second by Councilmember Orth. Councilmember Lyons.
Yes.
Councilmember Orth.
Yes.
Councilmember Hornick.
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That passes 4-0. One absent. Public hearing 5-1, approval first reading ordinance 2024-06, adding chapters 10 and 11 to Title 4 of the Lemoore Municipal Code relating to unsafe camping and public hazards. Chief Kendall.
Good evening again,
Welcome back.
Mayor and council members.
It's a busy meeting for you.
Just work. So as previously discussed, in June of 2024, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that anti-camping ordinances do not violate the U.S. Constitution, and cities no longer have to provide adequate shelter to enforce their ordinances. In Lemoore, there already is a prohibition against camping in public parks, which can now be enforced as a result of the Supreme Court ruling. Lemoore comparatively has a relatively small homeless population as compared with other surrounding cities. With the surrounding cities now adopting camping ordinances, this ordinance is a proactive measure should we see an influx of homeless individuals coming into Lemoore. This ordinance prohibits sitting, lying, sleeping, or storing of personal property in public spaces when it obstructs access or safety, especially near driveways, building entrances, fire hydrants, and utility meters. It also restricts such activities within certain distances of sensitive areas like schools, parks, and shelters. Pertaining to camping and vehicles, this ordinance prohibits the use of vehicles and other recreational vehicles for human habitation on public property or in public places. This ordinance also defines the storage of personal property and authorizes the removal of personal property from public spaces when it's determined to be in violation of this ordinance. Property left unattended will be recognized as abandoned property, and any property seized will be impounded for no longer than 60 days. Any property, or the owner of any property not being legally stored in accordance with this ordinance will be issued a notice of intent to impound the property. Any property left in the area after 48 hours will then be impounded. Again, they'll have 60 days to claim their property. That's kind of the quick overview of this ordinance. And if you have any questions, or I can clarify some things.
I have a feeling I'm gonna open a can of worms that I really don't want to, but probably has to be. Where are we gonna store this stuff at? We,
We have an outside storage at the police department. That's where we currently store a lot of this stuff now. It's a pain, it's a hassle, but that's what we always do.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, 60 days was just a random number, or was there some kind of case law that required 60 days?
No, there's laws that say how long we have to
Store.
store a certain amount of
That's what I
property,
figured.
especially what kind of property it is.
Okay. Well,
And 60 days is the minimum. You could store it longer if you would like to, but 60 days is the minimum.
Okay.
And so that's what we recommended.
yeah, that's fine.
And I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing right now.
Sorry.
Any other questions,
Yeah,
comments from council?
I have a couple. So how do you define camping?
Any overnight habitation of a vehicle or recreational vehicle or inside, and it specifically states, it has all these definitions. But in a
Because I
tent or,
I know we were talking about, as you were talking, it certainly applies to, you know, the possibility of the homeless in terms of where they're residing.
right,
But it also references in this part of this discussion, the ordinance prohibits sitting, lying, sleeping, or storing personal property, public spaces when it obstructs access or safety, especially near driveways, buildings. We have some residents who have camping vehicles in driveways. And people are residing in those. And I don't know, from a fire approach to try and get around to the back of a building. You know, they block access to. get
so.
around there. So I don't,
On that one, on that one point, this is only pertaining to public property, public areas. And the next council meeting, I'll be bringing an RV ordinance that will address private property.
okay. Because you could have a neighbor who has a vehicle who obstructs access to their neighbor's property, you know, and okay.
Any other questions or comments from council? I'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Are there any public questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to council. Is there a motion to introduce and waive the first reading of ordinance 2024-6, adding chapters 10 and 11 to Title 4 of the Lemoore Municipal Code relating to unsafe camping and public hazards?
Motion
I have a motion by Councilmember Ord,
It's a motion to waive it.
to waive the reading.
Yeah.
We're good with it.
Second,
second by Councilmember Gornick. Councilmember Ord,
Yes.
Councilmember Gornick,
yes.
Councilmember Lyons,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well. Passes 4-0. There's no new business, so we'll go ahead and move on to city council reports and requests. Councilmember Lyons,
Thank you. So I would like to thank, for Ron Alvin.
your microphone's off.
Okay, I'll start over. I'd like to thank Mr. Ron Alvin for, building and installing that 100-year time capsule in the corner of City Hall. I know he put it there. I really do. I'd also like to thank Mr. Ray Greenlee and his crew and all the other people that were involved with that. And while we're on the subject, I know we've mentioned doing another one. And I think Ray's still here. I'd like to nominate Ray to put a committee together to build one, and he can include whoever he wants.
I would second that.
I know,
I
I know
third it.
we're not allowed to do a motion in a second and all that, but we can do
I fourth
like
it.
a
General
a
consensus.
general consensus.
General
Direction.
consensus.
And so,
I second that.
so Ray, you don't have to do it all, you just have to do it all.
You can delegate.
You can delegate.
Yeah, you can bring whoever you want in on it and. Except Ron, I don't think Ron wants to do it again. I don't doubt it. So, but that's all I have.
Thank you, sir.
I too want to thank everyone involved in this 100-year time capsule opening ceremony. It was very, very enlightening. It was an interesting event. I love the video watching them trying to struggle to get something that was purposely put into a building to get it out. And not make a building fall. That was pretty cool. And then what they had to do to that big old chunk of granite to try to find this little box. Hopefully, Ray, when you do the next time, let's put an X on it to where we don't have to chisel half the granite block away to find it. But anyways, I too agree that it was very satisfying seeing 100-year-old paper and the condition it was in was astronomical. I was totally shocked at the preservation of the paper. It was a lot of hard work. Thank you, everybody. So with that, I also was in the transit at CART last Wednesday, and we're on schedule for our August 2025 Transit Center grand opening. We have a brand new building. They're building in downtown Hanford. It's catty corner from the old Robert Chevrolet. If anyone knows, it's a big old building. They're coming along pretty good. We don't have PG&E problem or Edison problem because it doesn't require a switch gear, we were told. So that's good.
We'll see.
Huh?
We'll see.
Yeah, well, we were told it doesn't. That's under 400 amps. So anyways. I will bring up, Caltrans did talk to us and I told Patricia I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I kind of am. Tentatively, Caltrans has it on the schedule to widen 41 between Excelsior. It's like 8 miles.
And Elkhorn.
And Elkhorn, where the single barrier K-rail is at. They have all the paperwork, all the land purchase, everything. They have the design, they have everything. They say they have the money, but yet the governor just changed his opinion last week on how much money he needs to run our city or state. So they're afraid that that may be on the chopping block, but not yet, but it's tentatively that may. If anyone has driven 41 from here to the coast, the bridge is excellent. They did a great job on everything going that way. It's really, really nice little drive. Not that it matters to the city, but we are looking at getting some kind of turnout in Stratford. Caltrans working with everyone to get a turnout to be a little bit safer turning into Stratford going southbound. Yeah, southbound. So other than that, they did, I was gonna talk to Marissa about, there's a lot of, and I don't know what the initials at CPRG grants. There's a lot of money on the federal side for, and I don't know what CPRG stands for, but we'll figure it out. There's a lot, and supposedly no one's getting them. So it's for environmental stuff. Like if we have a project that needs environmental reports and stuff, they'll grant the money to do it. So that could help. Thank you, everybody. It's a lot of hard work to run our city. I think we're very, very blessed to have our staff and all the hard work they do. And they're unsung heroes. They work very hard to get things done. And there's a lot of concern moving forward in our budgets and all that. So just everyone remember, we have to work together. Sometimes it costs a little bit of money. No one likes taxes. But at the end of the day, you know, everyone loves when you call 911, cop gets there in 2 to 3 minutes, three minutes. Everyone loves when a fire department shows up. Everyone loves their kid going to rec. I mean, rec department saves a lot of children to come visit me at my job. And, so we gotta remember that. So anyways, I'm not saying how to vote, but just think of that. Anyways, I'm good. Thank you.
Mr. Warnick?
Just a couple of things. Marissa, thanks for getting that item on the agenda for us to talk about with Chief and the work that you did pulling that presentation together about how we interact with ICE, or how we don't interact with ICE, I guess is probably a better way of putting it. And also I want to thank everybody that was involved in the time capsule. That's really kind of a neat thing. I know I won't be around to see it, but I know we put one in at the college when we built that college. And I was telling David, we have a steel drum, kind of a 25-gallon drum, and we put all kinds of stuff, particularly a lot of technology stuff, you know, the original fax machines and things like that be in there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I really appreciate this document. I had a chance to read some of it, and one of the things that I thought was really kind of neat was, you know, the spirit of the volunteer fire department. It was alive and well back there 100 years ago, and it's alive and well there now. I want to read to you what the second floor was designed for, which was really cool. The second floor will contain a civic hall, 26 by 50. With a kitchen and storage room adjacent to be used for all civic meetings. The firemen's quarters will be located on the second floor and will contain a large club room for poker, pool, bocce. No, I'm just kidding. Locker room and dormitory. The engine room has direct connection with the dormitory by means of a circular iron stairway. The regulation brass slide pole
I still got the pull.
will be installed leading from the dormitory to the engine room. And the floors will be of oak, and the floors in the civic hall will be especially selected and treated for dancing.
Yeah.
And then I got a kick out of this. It wasn't the City Fathers. It was called the Lemoore City Dads. That's what the city council was called, the City Dads.
So there was something that made us take the pole out, I don't know, year before me. And I came across the pole hiding in the old city hall, and I took it to the firehouse and I have it put away. And I hope to install it as just like a
Souvenir.
yeah.
Yes.
But the hole's not in the ceiling no more, so you can't.
Slide down it.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably insurance, I'm sure would frown upon that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. For King's Community Action, everything's moving along smoothly there, so no updates for that committee. King's Waste and Recycling did not meet this last month, so I have no update there as well. I also want to thank everybody that had a hand in the 100-year time capsule. It was a great moment of history to be here in Lemoore to experience that and see what people thought about preserving for us 100 years ago. So I look forward to being a part of whatever happens moving forward for the next 100 years. I also attended the Lemoore College Veteran Suicide Prevention Walk. That was a very nice event. Didn't have a lot of attendance, but I think they said it is growing every year. So looking forward to that to continue to grow. And this Sarah Mooney Museum fundraiser, Lemoore Cemetery Walk, I also attended this last weekend. There were a lot of Lemoore citizens out there, some staff. The city manager was there as well. Kings County supervisors, Hanford residents, Kings County residents. It was very well attended. And they continue to expand on the history of Lemoore and some of the prominent families that were here way back when. and their mark that was made on the town then, and how that all, some of our streets are named after these people and all of that. That's just the great history of Lemoore. So that was a pretty awesome thing. If you haven't attended one, I encourage you to attend one. It's always in September. I believe it's the last weekend of September. I attended this morning the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District Citizen Advisory Committee this morning. One of the things was the ag burn phase out that they're implementing throughout the San Joaquin Valley. There's no new restrictions on that. They're going to continue as they are. So they're not tightening down on that more. There's still phase out restrictions, but they're not tightening those yet. I also wanted to share a couple of things as far as the winter residential smoke reduction strategy. One of the things that they had mentioned was that residential wood burning emissions are among the largest sources of direct PM2.5 emissions, which that is, PM2.5 is one of the rules that the CARB and the EPA have tasked the Air Pollution Control District into mitigating. Those are during the winter months are very not good for us. Evening inversions, which the atmospheric layer, magnify concentrations and exposure to residents and neighborhoods. And they wanted to remind everybody that the smaller the particles, the deeper they can go into your lungs. So keep that in mind. They've had significant reductions in direct PM particulate matter. And its precursors have contributed to reaching key air quality milestones. They have reached attainment of 150 micrograms for the PM10 standard. There's a lot of standards that they have to meet. So PM10, our Valley District has met those standards. They also had the attainment of 65 micrograms per 24 hour for the PM2.5 standard. They've gotten significant progress towards the 15 micrograms annual PM2.5 standard, which is the entire valley, the entire valley was below standard in 2023. And they've also had significant progress towards 35 micrograms for the 24-hour and 12 micrograms for the annual standards. But just today they announced that the CARB has, their latest standard is now 9 microgram standard. So they're lowering the standard every time that we achieve it. So we're just going to keep trucking away at trying to find the magical spot. They did give us a visual of significant winter seasons air quality change. So just for an example, a visual of 1999 to 2000 winter season. There was the green is the good days and the red is the bad days. So you can see there's significant red days for that winter season. And in the 2023 through 2024 winter season, there were 415 good air quality days and only 1 unhealthy air quality day. So it is making a difference. I know it's frustrating for us to continue to crank down on things that we enjoy, like a wood burning fireplace, but it is making a difference. And with that, I will say that they are getting ready to roll out their fireplace and wood stove change-out grant program. So for us here in Kings County, if you change your wood burning fireplace to natural gas insert or stove, you can get up to $2,650 in funding to help do that. Or if you change to an electric heat pump, you can get up to $3,500 to help with that. I think that was it for the wood stove. And then I also wanted to mention that the district has a drive clean in the San Joaquin passenger vehicle replacement program. You guys may or may not have heard about that. To replace the vehicles, if you own a 2006 or older high polluting car that you're willing to give up, they'll help you replace it with a newer, cleaner car. You can get $7,000 to $12,000. $7,000 to $12,000, not $7 to $12,000. $7,000 to $12,000 to replace your vehicle with a primary electric, plug-in hybrid, or hybrid electric vehicle. One of the questions that was asked was, what are the income requirements? They give an example of a family of four can make up to 93,000 to be able to qualify for that. So those are going to be, they are rolling those out. Also, based on the current program demand and success, CARB allocated an additional 14 million in program funds to our district here in the Central San Joaquin Valley. That 14 million was previously in the reserve fund, but because we've had such a increase in high demand for the program, CARB decided to give our district that entire 14 million just because we are using it. We also were the pilot for that program, and now the whole state of California is using it. So we have an extra 14 million that's going to be out there to help fund that program. And to meet the program requirements or meet eligibility, you must provide the following documentation: income verification, California driver's license, vehicle title, registration and insurance documents for previous 2 years, proof of residency within the San Joaquin Valley. And you can either go to one of the clinics that they have, or you can apply online at www.valleyair.org grants drive clean in the San Joaquin replace. So just wanted to put that out there for everyone. The Homeless Collaborative, I will be attending the ribbon cutting for North Star, being on that committee. I got an invitation to attend the ribbon cutting for that in Hanford, so I will be attending that. The chief did mention about homecoming parade this Friday. Encourage everybody, if you're available, to come out and support our local high school during their parade. There is a town hall informational meeting on October 8th regarding the Measure S. It's going to be next door at 6 o'clock. There also is going to be a State of the County on October 10th that I plan on attending. And I think the city manager is as well. And I just wanted to announce also, there'll be a roundtable that I will be hosting here in council chambers on October 14th at 6 p.m. So if anybody would like to come out for a very informal meeting, lots of various things we can talk about and discuss, feel free to do that. I also wanted to wish Councilmember Gornick a happy birthday for October 12th. So wanted to make sure that that doesn't go unsaid. And I also wanted to issue a challenge to my fellow council members, and not just my fellow council members, but the public as well. You know me, I like my challenges. So I have several bags of candy.
Yes.
No, not for you. For the candy crawl. And I want to challenge, there is 1,260 pieces of candy right there, which I'm going to buy another one of these bags. So the total is going to be 1,720 pieces of candy. And I want to challenge each of you to bring the same, if not more, if you're up to it, to help donate for our Parks and Rec for their candy crawl for the community of Lemoore. And anybody else that would like to take up that challenge. And if you know me, I'm competitive. So if you buy more than me, I'm going to buy more. So bring it. With that, we'll go ahead and go into closed session, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Performance Evaluation, City Manager. Go ahead and go into closed session. Thank you.